he said, if you go home, Big Daddy, I'm not going to be responsible for you. I said, well, I don't think you're going to be responsible for me anyway, so I'm going to the house.
Don, after the Golden Triangle fire, you were broke, burned up, bandaged. You had to get home to try to make some money. You couldn't race. Where was the money going to come from?
Well, we had been building Swamp Rat 3. Connie Swingle and myself, he'd come into the shop, a young, aspiring mechanic, and he'd went out on the road with me on several of the match races, and he wanted to drive really bad, so I was letting him drive Swamp Rat 1. So he had made quite a few runs in it and was pretty good. And so Swamp Rat 3 was sitting down there on the garage floor, and I was really kind of upset about the Swamp Rat 1. It was really kind of dangerous the way the firewalls and all were constructed.
Once burned, as they say.
Yeah, and where Swamp Rat 3 had protection against that kind of stuff, had windshields on it and lower belly pants and stuff. So I told Swingle, I said, Swingle, put the engine in Swamp Rat 3, put it on the trailer, go to Detroit, do the match race in York, Pennsylvania. There was about 3 or 4 of them he had to do. So he went out and did them, and I stayed there at the shop. But I just wasn't able to travel. I was burned. That fire came from underneath, burned me all in the back of my legs. Could not sit in a truck seat for any long amount of time. And so from that point on, Swingle drove the fuel car until I drove a fuel car in 1963 at Pomona.
So this was not really a retirement. You intended when you were able to get back into the car?
Yes. I didn't think that I was going to quit completely. But Swingle had done such a good job, I just didn't bother to get back racing. But the more he raced, the more harder he got to be able to control him. He was wild,
Well, I saw him on the West Coast when he came out to race J.O. Payne and Van Sant for the #1 spot, and he was something.
Yeah.
You didn't forget him after you
No, that's a fact. Did that, 1962, Indianapolis.
My old friend, the announcer.
Yeah, gasoline, all gas that time, and I just went to work for Chrysler, and they wanted me to run one of the wedge engines on gas in national competition. Of course, we were running the Swamp Rats at that particular time. Swingle was driving Swamp Rat 3 on fuel for me. So Archie Liederbrand and I built Swamp Rat 4 and went up to Indy on gasoline, and we had that baby lightened. I mean, it was lightweight. But we had the axles lightened too much. And so every time we go up to the starting line, they'd break an axle. And it was just back to the pit. So finally as we broke all our trick axles, all we had left was just some old stalkers, which we put in here. And then it went real good. And Bernie just blurted out over the PA, well, it looks like Big Daddy's got a handle on this gas. And that's the first time I'd ever heard it. And why he said it, I don't know, but the Indianapolis Star picked it up, and they carried the story on Big Daddy, and we still had Swamp Rat written all over the cars. And so that went on for a number of years, and first thing you know, I started using it, started painting it on stuff, and then in '69 I registered because it had really become a nice nickname for me.
That's your trademark.
Yeah, we have it registered, and we use it on everything. And it's in fact, of the matter is, in the general public, I can ask somebody, they'll say, well, don't I know you? And I'll say Don Garlits, and you can still see the question in their eyes. And then you say, how about Big Daddy? Oh, yeah, I've heard of Big Daddy. It's amazing how that has really clicked with the general public.
The Swamp Rat nickname, though, that was hurled at you as an insult.
Yes, it was. I never to this day really know whether it was a real mean one or kind of a half-jokingly one, trying to get publicity. Later, Soto Postolian did that. He wrote an ad in Drag News, and he said, it's no wonder they call you Swamp Rat. You're in this business for what you can get. And says, you don't care how you make a buck at it. You put a green kid in the biggest dragster that you could think of.
Sound like he's beating the drum for a match race.
I kind of think it was. I don't think, because he always was real nice, and even later in years, we became partners in the Detroit operation. I don't think that Soto really meant anything really nasty about it, but he really made it sound that way. And I'll tell you that the tracks loved it. They did. They called up and wanted match races between the two of us.